The mirror incident: synthetic cannabinoids. Street names: Spice, K2, Black Mamba. They're marketed as legal alternatives to cannabis, but they're nothing alike. These lab-created chemicals bind to the same brain receptors as THC, but with terrifying intensities, sometimes up to 100 times stronger. Within minutes of smoking, your heart rate skyrockets. Paranoia floods in. Your body temperature spikes. Reality doesn't just blur, it shatters completely. On a Thursday evening in Manchester, a 19-year-old college student purchased what he thought was regular cannabis from a new dealer. What he actually got was a synthetic blend laced with an unknown chemical compound. 30 minutes after smoking, his roommate found him standing motionless in their bathroom, staring into the mirror. When asked if he was okay, he didn't respond. He just kept staring. Then suddenly, he punched the mirror with his bare fist. Glass exploded everywhere. But he didn't stop. He grabbed the largest shard he could find and began carving into his own face, convinced that there was something living underneath his skin that needed to come out. His roommate tackled him to the ground, but in the struggle, the student managed to remove a significant portion of the flesh from his cheeks and forehead. Emergency responders arrived to find him still fighting, still clawing at his face, screaming that he could feel them moving under there. It took 4 paramedics and 2 police officers to restrain him. He survived, but the psychological damage was permanent. He spent the next 8 months in a psychiatric facility, and even after recovery, he reported persistent visual distortions and anxiety attacks. Synthetic cannabinoids don't just get you high. They hijack your brain's cannabinoid system and send it into complete chaos. Seizures, kidney failure, psychotic breaks. The chemical composition changes constantly to avoid legal restrictions, which means every batch is a game of Russian roulette. You're not just risking a bad trip, you're risking permanent brain damage. The highway incident: let's talk about PCP. Phencyclidine, angel dust. Originally developed as an anesthetic in the 1950s, it was discontinued for human use because patients would wake up in states of delirium and psychosis. But that didn't stop it from hitting the streets. When you take PCP, you don't just feel disconnected from your body, you become completely detached from physical reality. Pain disappears, fear evaporates, and your perception of strength becomes dangerously distorted. On July 14th in Phoenix, Arizona, Highway Patrol received multiple calls about a naked man running through traffic on Interstate 10 during rush hour. When officers arrived, they found a 28-year-old man standing in the middle of the highway, completely nude, screaming at passing cars. He had already been struck by 2 vehicles, but showed no signs of injury or pain. Officers attempted to approach him, but he charged at them with superhuman aggression. He grabbed one officer by the vest and threw him backward with such force that the officer suffered a concussion. 3 more officers joined the struggle, but the man fought all of them simultaneously. Tasers were deployed twice with 0 effect. He didn't even flinch. It took 7 officers nearly 15 minutes to finally subdue him. During the struggle, he broke his own arm in 3 places, fractured 2 ribs, and dislocated his shoulder. He felt none of it. When he finally came down from the high 6 hours later in the hospital, he had no memory of the incident and couldn't understand why his body was destroyed. PCP blocks NMDA receptors in your brain, which are responsible for pain perception, memory, and emotion. Without them functioning, your brain loses its ability to process danger or physical limits. Your body can be falling apart, and you won't know it until it's too late. Heart attacks, respiratory failure, fatal hyperthermia. These are all common outcomes, but most deaths from PCP aren't from the drug itself. They're from what people do while they're on it. The bathtub incident datura. Devil's trumpet. Jimson weed. It grows wild in many parts of the world, and for centuries, it's been used in shamanic rituals and spiritual ceremonies. But unlike psilocybin or ayahuasca, datura doesn't just alter your perception, it creates an entirely new reality that you cannot distinguish from the real one. You'll have full conversations with people who aren't there. You'll smoke phantom cigarettes. You'll live entire scenarios that never happened. You'll have zero awareness that any of it is a hallucination. In October 2019, a 23-year-old woman in rural Oregon decided to experiment with datura after reading about its hallucinogenic properties online. She brewed a tea from the seeds and drank it in her apartment. For the first hour, nothing happened. Then reality began to fracture. Her neighbor would later report hearing strange noises coming from her apartment, banging, splashing, and muffled screaming. When police performed a wellness check the next morning, they found her unconscious in her bathtub, which was filled with ice-cold water. Her lips were blue. Her body temperature had dropped to dangerous levels. She had been in that tub for over 9 hours. When she regained consciousness in the hospital, she described what she experienced. She said she had been at a beach party with her friends. They were laughing, drinking, dancing around a bonfire. She remembered going for a swim in the ocean. That swim was actually her climbing into her bathtub and turning on the cold water. The party she attended never existed. The friends she talked to weren't there. Her brain had constructed an entirely false reality, and she lived in it for hours while her body shut down from hypothermia. She survived, but barely. Datura contains tropane, alkaloids, scopolamine, hyoscyamine, atropine that block acetylcholine in your brain. This doesn't just cause hallucinations, it causes delirium. Your heart rate becomes dangerously irregular. Your body overheats. You can't urinate, you can't swallow. And because the line between hallucination and reality is completely erased, you have no idea you're dying. The rooftop incident. Now let's discuss a substance that's becoming increasingly common in party scenes. 2,5-enbomy. It's sold as LSD, but it's not. It's a synthetic psychedelic that's significantly more dangerous. While LSD has an extremely high safety margin, NBOME can kill you at recreational doses. It causes severe vasoconstriction, which means your blood vessels tighten and restrict blood flow. Your heart works harder. Your blood pressure skyrockets. And if you take too much, your brain and organs can be starved of oxygen. On New Year's Eve in 2021, a group of college students in Austin, Texas, purchased what they believed were LSD tabs from an online vendor. What they actually received was 5-enbomy. 4 of them took the tabs around 10 p.m. By midnight, one of them, a 20-year-old engineering student, was experiencing severe paranoia and visual distortions. He became convinced that the building they were in was collapsing, and that the only way to survive was to get to higher ground. He ran up the stairwell to the roof, pushed open the emergency exit, and climbed onto the ledge. His friends followed him, trying to talk him down, but he was beyond reason. He kept saying he could see the ground crumbling beneath the building, and that they all needed to jump to the next rooftop to escape. Before anyone could stop him, he leaped. The next building was over 20 feet away. He didn't make it. He fell 6 stories and died on impact. Toxicology reports confirmed 5-enbomy in his system. His friends reported that he had only taken 1 tab a standard dose. But with NBOME, there's no standard dose. The chemical is unevenly distributed on blotter paper, which means 1 tab might contain a threshold amount, while another contains a lethal one. You're not just risking a bad trip, you're risking seizures, organ failure, and death. The real tragedy? He thought he was taking LSD, one of the safest psychedelics known to science. Instead, he got a research chemical with almost no safety data, sold by dealers who don't care whether you live or die. The lesson here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. Most of these substances won't kill you through toxicity alone. You won't overdose in the traditional sense. What kills you is what happens when your brain loses its grip on reality, when you can no longer tell what's real and what's not, when pain signals stop working, when fear disappears, when your sense of self completely dissolves. The human mind is fragile. It's powerful, but it's fragile. And when you introduce chemicals that fundamentally alter how it processes reality, you're rolling the dice. Sometimes you get a profound experience. Sometimes you get a fun night. And sometimes you get a complete psychotic break that ends in tragedy. So before you take that tab, smoke that blend, or drink that tea, ask yourself, is it worth gambling your sanity? Is it worth risking permanent psychological damage? Is it worth potentially becoming another cautionary tale? Because once your mind breaks, there's no guarantee it'll ever fully heal. Stay safe, stay informed. And remember, reality might be boring sometimes, but at least it's real.